Hi, my name is Garrett Schlunt. I am applying for your part-time history position at Proximity Learning. I am going to be doing a demo lesson on Shay's Rebellion and the Articles of Confederation in line with Massachusetts State Standards History 1, Section 7. So without further ado, let's share the screen if we could. Bop, bop. And we're going to switch and we're going to start now. Okay, so before we do any history whatsoever, I want to ask you one question, okay, which is to think about what makes up your personal identity, and specifically your political identity. So take 10 seconds or so to think that through. Okay, it's been 10 seconds. I would give you, normally I give you more than 10 seconds, but I have 5 minutes. So when you think about your personal identity, you're probably thinking about, maybe your cultural background or your religion, communities you're a part of, what have you. Politically speaking, you probably thought of like a political party. So, Republican, Democrat, what have you, independent, whatever. Or you most prominently thought of maybe your nationality. I am an American. Well, this is where we differ from our 1780 counterparts, because they would not say I'm an American. They would say that I am a Virginian, I'm a Rhode Islander, I am a South Carolinian. And this idea that the states take precedent over a central government is really the fundamental principle that went behind creating the first state government, which was the first federal government, which is the Articles of Confederation. So where do we see this in history? Well, we see this in the Declaration of Independence, actually. You can see in the title here, it says the 13 United States of America. Again, the states of America is boldened and it's larger than the actual union itself. So the states take precedent. You actually see Patrick Henry come out and try to support this central government by saying, I am not a Virginian, but an American. He is renouncing his Virginian identity and replacing it with an American identity. Needless to say, people didn't heed his words, but it just shows that someone as prominent as him is speaking out for this rather. So this idea of states over central government came together into what is called the Articles of Confederation. So what could the government under the Articles of Confederation do? Well, it could make treaties on behalf of the US. It could create laws about the expansion of the US. It could regulate post offices, and that's about it. It couldn't do really anything meaningful. So what this did is that this state could not regulate interstate commerce. It couldn't settle disputes between states. It couldn't tax its people, and it couldn't raise a standing army. So what all of these things boil down to is that the central government could not maintain basic law and order. It could not take any meaningful action in most situations. So what this does is that if there was ever a shock to the union as a whole, the central government couldn't handle it. And that's exactly what happens with Shay's Rebellion. So Daniel Shay was a military veteran who fought in the Revolutionary War. The central government had promised their soldiers pensions. They promised them that they would give them significant pay and bonuses, really kind of for life, like a modern day pension, if they served. And Daniel Shay honorably served. He left after Saratoga, and he found out that the state, because it couldn't tax its own people, couldn't pay his pension. So he ended up losing property because he couldn't pay his taxes. So needless to say, his state taxes, not his central taxes, which, needless to say, irritated a lot of him. And he was not the only one. He raised 4,000 disgruntled veterans. They rose up, they fought, and they were ultimately crushed. So this event raised a lot of alarm bells amongst the political elite in the colonies. They realized that that this could be like a domino effect. If one state fell to a rebellion of this nature, then all of the states could fall. So they said, okay, we need to have a stronger central government to call balls and strikes on these states. They need to have the authority to do so, which is what pushed them to create the Constitution and the new Constitutional Convention. So with all that being said, this is my little thought experiment for you as I leave here. So what power did the central government need to ensure basic law and order? What do you think was the most important thing? If you were to go to the Constitutional Convention, what would be the thing you would advocate for? Would it be, maybe the ability to regulate commerce, the ability to settle disputes between states, maybe just simply the ability to tax? Who knows? Well, I would love to hear your opinions. But if you're my personal opinion, it would have to be taxes. You have to be the ability to settle disputes and to implement fiscal policy onto the people in which that you are currently governing over. So this has been my my demo lesson. Thank you so much for listening. And I will see you all later. Thank you so much.